representing Palace, so let's tell you about Palace. Rolling straight to the ceiling, crowns and crystals, top like journeys, dishing out malice. Hold up, South London's grandest, far from bandits. Anything earned for a goal of elevation, just passing the team over here might finish out bright future we can't vanish. SE25 any day, that's sellers. Rev up the engines, no more reverse reactions, fan cams, bands on stream. Share up the team, support the dream team when Eagles fly, make noise and scheme. Dare to dream or dream to dare, taking a step to become supreme.
Oh God.
Big up everyone. Hope you're doing well. School's out for summer. I get a bit of a break, but we're not here to talk about my issues and worries. We're here to talk about obviously the upcoming CAS appeal. So I'm just going to mute you for a second. I feel it's a bit of an echo. So yeah, this CAS appeal which has come out, and yeah, what that means for the club, what the date for it as well, what Leon's been doing since then. It's still all a mess. It's a joke. But anyway, Nate, how's it going, mate?
Yeah, it's all good. It's all good. Just obviously, I wish Nottingham Forest had not snitched, but it is what it is. And obviously, there is an argument that the club should have got its house in order. So we won't just throw all the accusations up on Nottingham Forest. There is a bit of blame aimed at the club. But aside from all of that, which we'll get into, I'm not too bad, mate. How are you?
Yeah. Like I said, school's out, so a lot happier. Need the rest. It's been a long academic year and stuff. But before we start, I'm sure you've seen this on at chairman's and stuff, and I had mine ordered as well. But it has finally arrived. My very own replica FA Cup. So yeah, you'll be seeing this around with me quite a bit on streams and stuff. I can't bring this to Wembley on the 10th. We'll get nicked or taken by security. But yeah, no, let's get into it. Actually, so first, let's address some comments. Address them now, because if we get into our conversation and we may miss out comments, which we apologize in advance. But let us shout out those who are here. Winters Gate saying August 11th seems a bit mad. It's taking up the whole summer. You know, coming to terms with Conference League now, just want it to be over. I think a lot of people share that sentiment that it's just taking too long. But we're going to discuss that August 11th date. I think it'll be done before that. Big up, Chairman. And this is definitely dragging on. I think there's going to be an ongoing back and forth until a final decision is made, to be honest. Well, sure. Now we're just discussing about the fact that we've appealed. Tommy, I'm assuming, is a Forest fan. He says snitch, laugh out loud. And obviously said it's our own fault. Nah, it does look great. And you know what? When you got your one, Chairman, and I actually got to see it, and I was like, yeah, that looks quality. Big up Durfus. Yeah, it's definitely good to appeal. We'll discuss that as well. Big up the dog. Big up Mary. Big up CPFC Sean. Big up Mr. on this yesterday because I was at the Kendrick and Scissor. Yeah, to be fair, you know what? I won't even lie to you. I was considering getting home and just going live about this, but it was the last day of term, and the stuff went out. Let's just say there's quite a bit consumed. I've started my intermittent fasting though. No alcohol for a while. Hopefully Woody Johnson coming on stops this sort of issue. I don't know. I don't know if they'll judge whether it was done early enough, but we'll just wait and see. When you're dropping the football outdoor in real life content, can't wait. You know what? It's a good point, and I'll put my hands up to that. I've slapped and tried to sort this out. There's just been so much going on in just life. Because normally we do try and do it right as soon as the season's ended, that last weekend and whatnot. But if we end up doing it on a random day in the season, you'll see the content here 1,000,000%. And What's Crystal Palace's defense of the matter? We'll go through all of this as well as we discuss this. All right. And big up to Animal as well. So let's start off by reading out the letter that we sent. So this was the Court of Arbitration for Sport confirms appeal by Crystal Palace against UEFA, Nottingham Forest, and Olympique Lyonnais. Right, which says, Lausanne, 22nd July 2025. Sorry, the Court of Arbitration for Sport (CAS) confirms receipt of an appeal by Crystal Palace FC against UEFA, Nottingham Forest FC, and Olympique Lyonnais concerning the decision by UEFA to remove Crystal Palace from the UEFA Europa League 25-26 due to an alleged breach of multi-club ownership regulations. The appeal filed on 21st July 2025 seeks to annul the decision by the UEFA Club Financial Control Body on the 11th of July 2025, which found Crystal Palace and Olympique Lyonnais non-compliant with multi-club ownership regulations and placed Crystal Palace in the UEFA Conference League 2025-26. Alongside the annulment, Crystal Palace requests readmission to the UEFA Europa League 25-26, with Nottingham Forest's admission rejected. However, this is a bit that I didn't realize. It says in the alternative, Crystal Palace requests readmission to the UEFA Europa League 25-26 with Olympique Lyonnais' admission rejected. So just a quick thing, guys. Just let me know if there's an echo now. So I've just seen the comments. Give us like a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on the echo. Because I know sometimes when Nate unmutes and I'm talking, there's some feedback, but okay, whilst we're waiting for a few of those comments, I'll keep reading. So the last bit says, the parties are currently exchanging written submissions in accordance with the arbitration rules governing CAS appeals procedures. Following this process, a hearing will be scheduled. CAS hearings are not open to the public unless agreed by the court and all parties. This will be an expedited procedure with an operative decision without grounds to be rendered on or before the 11th of August 2025. So let's break this down. First things first, Nate, what's your thoughts on what I've just read?
Is there an echo before I start? No. Okay. I think the club have done the right thing by appealing because UEFA preach about sporting merit. We won our place in the Europa League on sporting merit. Nottingham Forest didn't. I know that they're the highest placed team in the league to take our place, but let's be real, they won their place in the Conference League via their league place. You know, we won it via winning the FA Cup. But I do see the argument that people have made that the club should have got its house in order, but apparently emails were missed and whatnot. For me, it's a bit of a weak argument because how are you missing emails, you know, in these times? You know, it's a bit silly, but I think the whole thing reads brilliantly, that it's quite clear that, you know, UEFA are picking and choosing their battles. I mean, Seferin, you know, pretty much alluded on a podcast with Men in Blazers. We know about an ownership group that are an MCO and we pretend that they're not. So one group is given the all clear, despite the fact it's glaringly obvious that they're literally run by the same person. There's no cooperation between Crystal Palace and Lyon. The very first time we qualify for Europe, and all of a sudden we're held up on a technicality. We're pulled up on a technicality. Okay, well, their rules aren't fit for purpose anyway. That's been exposed dramatically because UEFA themselves had to drag as to how, because they can't even specify how we infringed on an MCO, because they're saying that Textor has influence, but how can he? Bear in mind, our fans hate him. Molenbeek fans hate him. Botafogo fans are still on the fence because they have seen their club turn around. But If I was a Botafogo fan, I'd want him gone out of my club as well. Lyon fans can't stand him. So if you have 4 clubs and all 4 clubs' supporters don't like you, that's a damning indictment. That's not good, you know. And don't get me wrong, I'll be the first to hold my hand up and say when Texter came in, we spoke on this channel when he came in, and I was happy to see a new face on board. And I'm not proud of it, but there are videos of me on this channel championing his time at the club. Now I'm happy to take that egg on my face because I wasn't to know this would happen. But how on earth he of all people didn't think, oh, hang on, my French club are still within a shout of Europa League. My English club are within a shout of Europa League. Even though I'm trying to sell the club, I probably should follow UEFA protocol, because he would have been made aware of it being in charge of Lyon. So this nonsense that he didn't know isn't going to wash with me, because how can you not know of it when your club was in the Europa League last season? Bear in mind, they did lose to Man United in the Europa League last season. So it's not like they didn't know UEFA protocol. I think it's brilliant that the club are appealing, but it's just messy, and it doesn't need to be. It's either we've earned our place by winning the cup, which until we did it, there was no issue, ever, no issue, or there is an issue, and UEFA need to clean house a bit and say, okay, these rules aren't fit for purpose. Take that out, change that rule to make it much more observant. And this move in the deadline was also asking for trouble. And apparently more emails have come out saying that many clubs were told, don't worry about it, that deadline isn't set in stone. So make it make sense, UEFA. Either we missed the deadline or we didn't. Because it sounds to us like a club that's glaringly not in a multi-club organisation is being scrutinised and punished. A club that is in an MCO has taken our place in the Europa League. Their owner had to get an extension to get past the deadline. So make it make sense. Which is it? Either we are in an MCO and they've got more proof than we know about, or we're not. And I don't think we are, because Texter at every step trying to take this club over, Parish has blocked him. And as much as I've hated on Parish the whole time he's been at the club and the whole time we've done eagle-eyed football, even I have to admit, thank God he bloody stood in his way. The man's a cowboy. And I don't mean to go on a political rant here, but you know my feelings on him quite clearly, Rick. So I'm delighted the club have appealed, because, we have to fight for our right, because it's disgraceful that we worked so hard to win our first ever major trophy. That's a memory that you and I will share for the rest of our lives. We were there. The whole of eagle-eyed football was there. You saw our vlog. All the fans that were there, that's memories we can take to the grave. But we all got excited knowing that Europa League anthem was playing at Selhurst Park. I could hear the anthem as I'm getting ready to book flights for the very first home game. Now, don't get me wrong, if we are in the Conference League after all this, I'm not mad at it. But it's that playoff foolishness that's annoying me. Because realistically, what's the point? And ironically, the whole Conference League thing's an even bigger mess, because apparently Brøndby isn't an issue. But that's more of an MCO issue. But that's been swept under the rug. So I don't know what to think, because I'm sat there thinking, hang on a second. With Lyon, it's an MCO issue, but with Brøndby, it's not. But the two are the complete opposite of each other. So make it make sense. Oh, man, I don't know. I'm just getting annoyed if you're thinking about it. But yeah, to answer your question, because I know I've kind of gone on a bit of a tirade here, I'm happy with the way that's been worded. Because that's a very firm UEFA, either your rules are fit for purpose or you need to clean house. And you need to make it abundantly clear to those MCOs, even if the day-to-day running of your clubs is not directly crossed over, the minute another club from your group qualifies, one of you drops out. Because it can't just be us that suffers this and then nobody else gets punished. That's BS. I know Troja got punished and another couple of other teams, but you understand, like Girona, Man City, Leipzig, Salzburg, Nice, Man United. If one of them qualifies, the other one, out. Can't be that way then, no? Because that's what they're doing to us. So UEFA, pick your poison, because either we've broken the rules, and if we have, okay, show us those rules. Or we haven't, and you need to start picking on the big boys again. Because whatever about them being the big money draws, your rules are not fit for purpose. And furthermore, Marinakis and his attitude of asking about doesn't concern Nottingham Forest. You didn't qualify for the Europa League. Now you're after going snitching to the teacher and getting us kicked out for your own benefit. You know what? I'm not going to go too much into that, but you understand. It looks bad. Because we've done nothing wrong. We've won a trophy for the first time in our history, qualified for Europe on merit. But UEFA decide, nope, you're in an MCO, you're kicked out. The club that's taken our place isn't an MCO, they're not kicked out. Sorry? How does that make sense? So Marinakis doesn't control a Nottingham Forest, but he clearly does. Textor quite clearly doesn't control Crystal Palace, but they're saying he does. Where was this? What's that? Groundhog Day. Crazy.
Yeah, I mean, you make a good point of it, and I just want to address Tommy K in the chat regarding the whole Oliver Glasner thing. Wasn't Textor. It was Parish and Dougie. This is how you can tell that Textor doesn't have any sort of say, is because once it was brought to the table, Textor was like, ooh, I should have tried to get him for Leon. That was his own words. Parish and Dougie were the one. Well, Dougie more so. Dougie was the one that went to go and scout Glasner. So that throws that in the bin, by the way. The next bit, if anyone's going to say rules are rules, please stipulate what rule. Don't just say you've got a multi-club ownership. Prove it. Prove it. There's a lot of this talks about Textor having so-and-so shares. The shares come from Eagle Football Holdings. He actually only has about 28%, which is still lower than the 30% that UEFA don't like anyway. So either way, guys, you've got to try and get the facts right. And so once again, Tommy, Dougie Freeman was the one that that's one that said, this is going way back. Dougie Freeman went out because the whole Roy Hodgson thing wasn't working. And that is why Textor then at the time was trying to say, because obviously he can't do this whole MCO thing at Palace, that's when he said, nah, you know what? I need to go and try and get Glasgow before they do. Because at first, what had happened is that Parish wanted Hodgson to stay. And that's when Textor steps in and said, oh, actually, you know what? Let me see if I could get Glasgow in quick before they change their mind on it. That's what happened. So that's just to clarify that. All right. Cool. Let's move on to one bit that I thought was very interesting in this appeal. So not only are they saying that, all right, look, we should get our place back and Forest go back to their original place. But if that doesn't work, they're saying that we take Leon's place. Now, you know what? I love this. I love this for various reasons. One, if we're talking about sporting merit, which you mentioned earlier, I'm sorry, but a win in the FA Cup is bigger than finishing, I think they finished 6th or 7th? 7th, I believe, in the league. Now, 6th it was. Okay. So when you, people say, oh, but 6 is better than 12th in the league. But we didn't earn our Europa League position from our league place. We earned it from the FA Cup. That is a bigger deal than earning it from a 6th place league finish. Then you got to look at the fact that in League One, they have 18 teams where we have 20. The Premier League's a lot harder than League One is. So there's multiple factors. And the biggest factor of it all, John Textor, who has 100% say in Lyon, has violated so many financial rules that they've still got another fine coming up. They should be punished then, which could, ironically, could put Palace and Forest in the Europa League. But this is all a Textor issue. And if he's got the decisive say on Lyon, they should be punished and not us. So I'm glad we're taking this angle. A final thing, and I said this the last time we were live discussing this thing. We're also fighting for all the other teams that this may screw over in the future. So I know a lot of people are saying, oh, look at this. We heard Tim Pot, we heard. Tim Pot, what do you call it? How should I explain? Protests and stuff like that. All right. We're fighting for those other clubs. Right, it's happened to us. It's probably going to happen to others. You know? And that's what we're trying to avoid. But I'm glad we fought. Listen, we might fight and lose, but I'm glad we've had that fight. Just quickly regarding the 11th of August, I do expect it, and I'm hoping so anyway, that it will be done beforehand, because the Conference League draw is on the 4th of August, which is not next. So a week on Monday. It's a week on Monday. So I would expect the decision to be made before that draw, because I think it'll be a bit messy if it's this team versus Crystal Palace / Nottingham Forest / Leon. I think it'll just be a bit too messy regarding preparation. But hey, I'm sure you've seen all over social media. Yes, the HF had their protests, but let's see. Rich, you're not fighting for any more but yourself as a club. Your CEO is to blame. If you're talking about missing the March 1st deadline, you can look at it both sides. All right. But at the end of the day, remember the rules. If you're going to talk rules are rules, it says you must put your shares in a blind trust if one of your owners have decisive control. John Textor doesn't have decisive control. So if UEFA are going to go on decisive control, go on decisive control. If they're going to go by shares, go on shares. The problem is they've punished us on shares and not decisive control, which is actually contradicting their rule. All right, so just on that. But yeah, HF, they've infiltrated UEFA, which I found quite funny and stuff. What did you make of it, Nate?
Good on them. Good on them. I mean, you've got to point out the hypocrisies. I mean, let's be clear about this. You know, Textor's interview on TalkSport revealed an awful lot, that he clearly was, thinking that nothing would happen, and then realized, oh, there's a problem and the whole lot. But let's keep it 100. Until Marinakis got his big nose involved, that would have been an issue between Leon, Palace and UEFA, which it should be. But Nottingham Forest getting involved, it looks bad on them, because why are they getting involved? If they're in the Conference League, accept your Conference League football. It's not a bad thing for them to be in the Conference League. And fair enough, I understand that for Marinakis and the Forest side of things, Europa League football is a bigger pot of money for them, the same way it is for us. But let's keep it 100. Yes, there is an element of blame aimed at our board for not seeing emails and all this other carry on. But imagine another club has to step in because they want clarification on an issue that doesn't concern them. Why does Crystal Palace being in the Europa League concern a team that's in the Conference League? Do you know what I mean? It doesn't hold water. But with the HF going to UEFA's headquarters, I'd say good on them, because realistically, it shows that spirit of 2010, where they led that protest ahead of the decision back in administration. They haven't forgotten where the club has been to where the club is now. Obviously, there is an element of, is it necessary? This may damage our case and everything else. So I am trying to see both sides of the coin, where I'm like, good on the fans for sticking up and pointing out the hypocrisy, but also be mindful that some things the fans do can be seen by UEFA as well. If this is how your fans are going to behave, we may as well kick you out entirely. But I'm all for it, because I think it's great that they're, sticking up for the club and showing, look, this is wrong. We've won it on sporting merit. You cannot rob us of our rightful place in Europe because of a rule that you've decided to now influence, when you've had opportunities to do it in the past and you've turned a blind eye at every opportunity. The one time we qualify for Europe, they enforce it. But when notable clubs in evident MCOs, they were like, oh, yeah, no, that's okay. I didn't see anything. Their own CEO admits they are aware of an MCO getting away with blue murder. But the minute we qualify for Europe, they want to turn the screw on us. Pause, just in case. It's maddening, because I understand people are going to say rules are rules and whatnot. But what rule have we broken? Forest fans, tell us, what rule did we break? Because for a club that's expert on rules, what rule did we break? I would love to know. Because, as you said, their whole thing contradicts. Either it's shares or it's, direct influence or direct control or something like that. So which is it? Because they're saying it's one, and then the rules are saying it's the other. So it's an oxymoron. It can't be both. That's all I'm going to say on that.
Absolutely. And look, on I guess you can even look at like the Forest, and this is what I say here. This is not blaming Forest whatsoever on this aspect. I know that they asked for an extension, and I think that was mainly because at the time they were third, so there would have been a conflict of interest regarding Olympiacos, I believe it was, who were also like looking to qualify for the Champions League. So I know from that standpoint, I think they got their house in order for that. So that we can't really criticize them. They've done what they needed to do and stuff. But then once it comes up to the point where like, all right, yes, you can look and say, oh my gosh, why didn't Palace get their house in order? At 12th place and in the 5th round of the FA Cup and not being in a multi-club ownership, that's the reason why it's not being put there and stuff. Whereas Forest, third place, and clear third place, by the way, they knew immediately we've got to do something. We've got to get something sorted out and stuff. So it's a lot. It was a lot easier for Forest in that circumstance to be able to, quote unquote, get their house in order. More news. This one's actually quite interesting though. According to French Football News, Lyon's lawyers are now in the process of trying to cancel the purchase of Matt Turner from Nottingham Forest. Obviously, we know there has been some dealings with regarding the two clubs. Look, you can say business is business, you know what I mean? But obviously, I know there's a lot that's saying that Forest are kind of playing a hand in getting Textor out of bother. Look, Nottingham Forest are going to do what they want to do for them. Like, we can't berate them. Like, that's what they're going to do for their club. It's going to, number one, they're going to make double the money. And the player pool will be a lot different and stuff. Yes, and we're frustrated. We're obviously frustrated by all the things that's going on, not just Forest, Textor, Lyon, the UEFA, everything. We're just frustrated by everything. Emails. I mean, every time I get an email on my phone, I'm trying to dash my phone now because emails just getting on my nerves. But it seems as if now that obviously Lyon have not been relegated, they're trying to cancel the Matt Turner side. Maybe they didn't want him at all, but could that be a bit where, like, you know what, they're trying to obviously help with the money side of it? I don't know. What do you make of it? It's a bit weird that they're trying to cancel the signing of a player
now. I'll be honest. It stinks of Textor doing his normal BS. I mean, it's no secret that he wanted to move players between Palace and Lyon for a few years and Botafogo and whatnot, and Parish blocked him at every turn. I don't really like the narrative people are trying to spin that Forest directly are trying to influence Textor and whatnot. If he does business with Forest, with Botafogo, with Molenbeek, with Lyon, we've no say in that. So I don't really care that sort of thing. That's just business between two clubs. It's not directly concerning us. But it's ironic that Textor's done more business with Forest than he's ever done with Palace. Because let's keep it 100. We've only had one dealing with Lyon since he's been here, and that was to sell a player to them, and that was Jake O'Brien. It's not like we sold a star player to Lyon. We sold a fringe player. And then, you know, he's selling key players at Botafogo to Nottingham Forest. And fair play, you know, Nottingham Forest are getting their signings in and what have you. But it's just, it's a mess. The whole thing is a mess. And this is on the club. This is on UEFA, and it's on a lot of different heads. It's not just one person. It's not just one entity. It's all three and more. Because we're being punished for something we couldn't have possibly foreseen. Because nobody had us down to win the FA Cup when we played Millwall in March. No one. Even the most optimistic of Palace fan was like, we've got an outside chance. Because there were still some pretty heavy-hitting teams left in the FA Cup by that point. I think Chelsea was still in it. I think obviously City, obviously Villa, Forest as well, Fulham. So Brighton. There were good teams still left in the competition. You know, and we were playing a local rival in Millwall where we're like, okay, yeah, we're the favourites on paper, but derbies go out the window. But there is an element of blame on the club, and I have stressed that. It's not solely down to Forest, it's not solely down to UEFA. How they misread emails is beyond me. In this day and age, it's inexcusable. So I'm not in any way trying to shirk from pointing the finger at the hierarchy and saying, "How did you miss emails?" That's criminal. That shouldn't happen in this day and age. But again, the whole situation is unnecessarily messy, and as a consequence, Nottingham Forest and Palace fans are fighting over things that we shouldn't be fighting over, because it's really nothing to do with us. It's more our own error in terms of not getting our house in order in both emails and apparently the bureaucracy of the whole thing. And UEFA, their rules they move a deadline to mid-season. Last season it was the 1st of June. Why move it? Where's the point in that?
Yeah,
that makes no sense.
I think they're moving it back next season.
You see what I mean? And then they realize, oh, actually, snap, this has created more trouble than it's worth. So it doesn't make sense. And purely off the basis of something that we had no knowledge of because we weren't watching emails properly, but also we weren't under the assumption we'd be in trouble for being in an MCO, because from our point of view, we're not in an MCO. We've now had the hammer whacked down on us, but there's clubs glaringly, obviously in an MCO, given free rein to do as they please. Ridiculous. But as I said, there is an element of blame to our end, because you really should be getting your house in order in these situations. But again, what's done is done. We just have to wait for this appeal to make a decision on. If we're in the Conference League, so be it. If we get back into the Europa League, brilliant. But realistically, we shouldn't have been kicked out in the first place, because, you know, they talk about rules are rules. What rules did we break? I would love to know what rules we broke. Please tell us what rules we broke. I would love to know.
Yeah, and that's where it is at the moment. I mean, like I said, please don't just throw rules there unless you clarify which rule. Because like I said, if you're saying it's a multi-club ownership, we're not one of those. If it's to do with shares, then you may have an argument. But like I said earlier, yes, there's 43% there, but that's most of the Eagle Football Holdings, and Texas not even let the main holder of that, is someone else. And that splits into like about 28% of Palace, which is below the 30% threshold. So it does sound all mad and complicated, but that's what I'm saying. Like, don't just throw out rules. Say what exact rule we've broken. And you know, I mean, there's even been like theories about Savas Theodoros, this, because he put it up. I'm not going to say too much into this, because I'm not going to say I know, but they're just saying that there's a relationship with, I think, is Marinakis or Marinakis' father or something like that. I don't know too much into this, so I'm not going to go and comment. But yeah, I guess the last bit is, where do we go from here? Because obviously this is really impacting our transfer window massively. We've got the Charity Shield, or Community Shield, sorry, in about 2 weeks as well. 2 weeks from Sunday. So we've got that Community Shield coming up. We've got the draw on the 4th of the Conference League, which is a bit annoying that we have to do a playoff phase, right? The 11th is obviously the last date they've given for CAS. And then our league starts on the 17th. Do you think we'll be able to get any sort of business done?
Ideally, yes. But again, because this absolute mess has happened, because evidently it's an admin error on our side, it's an admin error on UEFA's side, it's not a good look, you know, because regardless of this whole thing, Glasner made it abundantly clear he wanted his players in early, because that's what killed us last season. We didn't have the players ready for the first game of the season, lost to Brentford and went on our terrible run until we played Tottenham. We can't afford to do that this season, because with European football in some context, be it Europa League or Conference League, we need to have the players ready for that, because this season is unprecedented territory for us. So this nonsense of, oh, it's going to be fine and we'll bed in eventually. No, we don't have that luxury this season. When you're not in Europe, it's fine. You can say, oh, well, look, it's only one game a week. You know, things will turn around eventually. When you're in Europe, you need to be ready, because the schedule itself is going to absolutely take it out of the players. So if I'm Oliver Glasner, I am probably very annoyed, because Walter Benitez, very good signing, good backup to Dean Henderson, respectable European pedigree goalkeeper. Borna Sosa, not particularly my preferred option, but a decent squad option and competition and cover for Tyrick Mitchell. But 2 signings alone doesn't make us ready for the season. We're in urgent need of another striker to hopefully help out with Nketiah and Mateta, because if Mateta gets injured, Nketiah is not scoring the goals Mateta scores. He's just not. He may still come good, but we know he's not that level of JP. Yeah. Still a few positions in the team we need to fill out. Obviously, there's a few that need to go out as well. Rob Holding apparently is on his way out as well, which great news, because the sooner we get rid of Deadwood like that, the better. But this whole thing has hurt our transfer business, and it's of our own making. Let's not stress this any further. This is strictly on the club for not failing to get things ready and moving. Because realistically, the club should have been pursuing as many targets as possible to say, look, we're not sure what the European situation is, but we want you to play a part in us being in Europe next season. Obviously, they can't specify, is it Europa League? Is it Conference League? Because players want to know what competition they'll play in. I get that. But reality is you can't sign just 2 players and say, yeah, we're good to go. No, not in a million years. There's still a lot of work needs to be done. And it's not looking good. Don't get me wrong, I'm not worried, because I understand these things take time, and we've never been a club that just hits transfers out quick time. But we need to pick up the pace a bit, because that period of games where it's the Community Shield, it's the playoffs in the Conference League, and then it's the start of the season away at Chelsea. They're literally one after the other or close to it. So we don't have the luxury of, we've got the Community Shield and then the Chelsea game. Nah. As it stands, we've got a European game before that, or just after that, I think. Because there's another game before the Forest. Ironically, it's the second leg before the Forest game. So Palace need to get their house in order and their finger at their proverbial. So for me, it's important that the club pursue transfer targets. But at the moment, this whole thing, Cass need to get this resolved quickly. Either we've broken the rules and fair enough, we'll take our punishment and stay in the Conference League. Fair enough. Or UEFA's CFCB are wrong for putting us in the Conference League, put Forest back in the Conference League, us back to the Europa League, carry on as normal. Or kick out Lyon, whichever. Just make the decision and let's get this underway, because the sooner the decision's made, the better all 3 clubs can move on about their business. Because this is getting messy and unnecessarily messy at that.
No, absolutely. And just on that, I think also with us, I think we preempted one of Ebbs or Mark going as well, and neither of them gone yet. So we started the talks with Diamande very early, and all of a sudden Mark's not gone nowhere. So, and now Sporting, I think they've upped their price. Same with the Ebbs situation. We're expecting Arsenal or someone to trigger the release clause. Hasn't happened yet. And then, so at the time we were looking at maybe like Ndoye from Bologna, Gossand. So there's a few players that we were potentially just looking at. There was rumours coming up, but obviously, if we end up starting the season with both Ebbs and Mark, none of us going to complain. However, and that's the big however, if we start the season that way, it will mean that if they do eventually go, and then we get our transfers in late like we normally do, then we've screwed Glasner over again because he likes to work with his players from early, So either way, it's just not ideal whatsoever, not ideal at all. But hey, I guess we can leave it there actually. So yeah, we've appealed. Now we just wait, and I think that's the annoying bit. We just wait. I don't know. Are you confident this gets overturned? Because I'm not. I'll be honest with you. I don't think this will be. I don't think this will be overturned. Because they're going to want to save face. So that's my personal opinion. But if it's not going to be overturned, tell us tomorrow, please. Just tell us tomorrow. Don't drag it out.
Yeah, 100%. Like you, I'm not confident because realistically, if there was no issue, UEFA wouldn't have put us in the Conference League to begin with. So quite clearly there is a lot more that we're not made aware of. But logically speaking, because they've made this much bigger, faster than it needed to be, they have to make a decision quickly. Because as I said, if we've broken the rules, then so be it. Fair enough. We take our punishment. We go into the Conference League, and maybe we go all out for that. Because Glasner said he wants to push as high in the competitions as he can next season. So I'm not mad if we, take on those playoff games. Hopefully, go through that, because we're not actually in the Conference League just yet.
Yeah, we're not actually in
But you know what I'm saying? He's got the mentality of whatever competition we're in, he wants to go as far in as we can. So if we are admitted back into the Europa League, then I hope this doesn't really sour relations between the two fan bases, because I have no issue with Nottingham Forest. I don't like the way that Marinakis is asking for clarification, because there's no need to do that, because this didn't concern them at the time. They weren't in the Europa League. If it was a case of they were in the Europa League and say they'd finished 6th or 5th, and they were then I'd understand. But 5th place got Champions League football, 6th place got Europa, 7th got Conference League. Forest didn't qualify for the Europa through the league. Through the league, they qualified for the Conference League through the league.
No, you know what? They did. They did qualify. They got dropped down because we won the FA Cup.
No, I swear that's because Newcastle won the League Cup, didn't they?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, of course, yeah. But like I said, you don't want to have the two clubs starting to have a bit of animosity, because realistically, this is a whole administration effort.
August 24th is going to be mad.
I'm going to do everything I can to get a ticket to fly over for that game, because I have to be there, because it's going to be a madness. But like I said, this is, to a degree, this is on the club, because the whole Textor situation, the minute he started buying other clubs, JC, who's not here today, he said it in the group chat, this isn't going to end well. And he was right, because look at the mess we're in now. He openly tried to buy Everton while he was still having shares in us, and dragged out the selling procedure. Had he sold as quickly as he could have, this wouldn't be a problem. But of course, Textor decided, no, let me stick around and see can I shirk influence. Thankfully, Paris was like, no, you stay away from this. You want to play with Botafogo, Molenbeek and Lyon, you go do that, but don't try and bring any of that over here. Well, now we're in this situation. It's of our own making. There should have been more pressure put on Textor from our board to say, listen, either you're staying here or you're going. Which is it? So again, some blame has to be aimed at our ownership, because they should be handling this situation better. Let's not try and absolve Parish of blame.
Just on that bit though, regarding forcing him to sell up, he wanted to. He just wanted to do it at a much bigger price that he was going to get. And that's what caused an issue and stuff. I think he was very close to getting Everton. Then there was some sort of illegal business that been done, which kind of so let me just messed that situation up. Then he wanted to put them in the stock exchange and stuff. So, like I said, it is a mess all round. Like all round, it's messy. I'm honestly, I hate the fact that, and I'm hoping it's not true about an email. I'm hoping it's not to do with just a simple email, because that would be so infuriating and stuff. But it's been mentioned and it's been put out there, so we're gonna have to take it as for gospel. But yeah, look. At the end of the day, if it was a bigger club, they find a way around it. As Seferin said that podcast was in 2023, where he came out and said, look, we know of a club that is in multi-club ownership, but we're going to pretend that they're not. And we're not going to mention the club. And my guess, Manchester City. That's my guess for that one. But you know what? Money talks, unfortunately, and we're not seen as big enough for the competition, so it's easy to punish us. And once again, if you're looking at Drogheda and FC DAC, they were both 80% plus. So their ones were easy to deal with in CAS. This is a very complicated matter. Guys, please smash the like button on the way out. Thank you. There was about 75 watching at some point. I think it was Lord Rodney who was asking how many likes. There were 20 when I last checked. So guys, let's get those likes up. It really does help the channel, really pushes our content out. We are next live Friday evening for the Crawley watch along, unless something drastic happens and we have to go live tomorrow. But yeah, we'll be back for the Crawley watch along, and then I believe there's games next Tuesday as well. I think it's Augsburg, because we've got Austrian tour next week. So we'll be doing watch alongs for those too. Any last words, Nate?
No, not really. I'll be honest.
Sweet. So Nate, hold on. If City win FA Cup for us, this is what we were saying. So yeah, had we lost the FA Cup final, Forest would have been on Euro in the Europa League regardless and stuff. Hence, obviously, them getting pushed out probably lost them 40-50 million at least. It's a lot of money these days, you know. So yeah, look, we'll just have to wait and see. We have to wait and see. We just hope.
Yeah, but Rich, quickly on that, Forest had the opportunity to go and win the FA Cup as well, though. That's the thing. So you know they can't cry wolf because City lost the final when they themselves could have beaten City. That City team was beatable. We proved that. Do you know what I mean? And again, I'm not trying to throw this at Forest here, but what I'm trying to say is that, okay, if City had won the FA Cup, then Forest qualified regardless. But Forest had the opportunity to qualify through the league and qualify through the cup and failed on both counts because they finished 7th.
Yeah.
So, and 7th normally gets you Conference League football, only for the fact that Newcastle won the League Cup. So their place would have been pushed down. And had City won the cup, it would have been pushed down again. But do you know what I mean? It's not our fault we won the cup. Okay, granted, big help from the referee in that. But look, you can't take what we achieved at Wembley from us. That's just, that's off the table. But the whole thing's a mess because Forest feel a certain way about it. We feel a certain way about it. Nobody's happy with the whole situation. So CAS need to say, right, either Palace have broken the rules or UEFA's contravening their own rules. Here's the decision. Out of the Europa League, in the Conference League, in the Europa League, one club's kicked out of the Europa League.
No, absolutely.
Absolutely. But am I confident? No, I think it's going to stick as it is. But
I think it doesn't as well.
Because if it is overturned, we will be there. Oh, we will be there 100%.
But I expect another appeal.
Absolutely.
There'll be another appeal.
Absolutely.
So this will drag out even longer, and I think that's the reason why I'm not confident. I think they're going to try to avoid that. So they'll just say, no, you're in the Conference League, just deal with it, which will be shambolic in itself. Guys, smash the like button, subscribe if you're new. Thank you for your interaction. I know the majority of you keep it respectful in the chat. Keep doing that. Don't get rattled by any Forest fans that come in. We keep it classy because the decision isn't final just yet. And if it does get overturned, like Nate said, we will be there. We will be there. Guys, really, really appreciate you all. I agree, Mary. Ban multi-club ownership, period, 100%. And thanks again, 40 and 5 for your contributions. Well, big up everyone. And yeah. Oh, hold on. Here we go, Nate. 5 A and B is both 1 dealing in shares of another, 2 influence in the club. Look them up. Don't think we've got influence. There's no influence in the club. If, like I said, if you're dealing with shares, then, like I said, it's still technically 28%. So it's still lower than a 30% threshold. So that's what they just. What I wish they do is just say, listen, you've been kicked out of the league because you violated this rule by doing this. That would have been a bit better. But hey, look, we'll go on back and forth. And yeah. Smash the like button, guys. Up the Palace. Yes. Oh.